I played 29 different games in 2023. Some were great, and some really freaking sucked. So today, I am going to rank them all. Starting off with Celeste, the very first game I played this year. I really liked the pixel art, it worked well with the great story and characters. The game is hard, but it never gets too frustratingly hard. During your journey through the game, you're consistently being introduced to new mechanics, so the game never really gets old. I beat the game in one sitting, and even though I had fun, I guess I just didn't like it enough to ever load the game back up again to play through everything else. And with that being said, I'll have to put Celeste into B tier. The second game I played was Ori and the Will of the Wisp. This game is absolutely beautiful. The music, the story, everything works so well together. I really like the gameplay too, the simplicity of it makes it really fun to play. Comparing this to Hollow Knight, I would say that Hollow Knight is still a better game overall because of how deep everything goes, but I for some reason just find Ori more fun to play. I thoroughly enjoyed my playthrough of Ori, so I'm gonna put that in the A tier. So as you can see, I'm just ranking these games in the order in which I played them. I'm not gonna get all technical about it, I'm just ranking them based on how much fun I had playing them. And the third game I played this year was Enter the Gungeon. I feel that I might have been a little late to this party, but I think it's still a good game. I just can't say that I really liked it that much. The gameplay is simple, which isn't a problem, but I'm really bad at bullet hell games, so honestly, I think that being bad at a game or feeling that it's too hard can make the game less enjoyable to somebody. And that's kind of what I felt here. I know it's a skill issue, but it is what it is. This made Gungeon a bit less addictive than other roguelikes, so I'm gonna put this in B right below Celeste. The next game is another roguelike, and it is Dead Cells. I think this game is also very hard, but unlike Gungeon, I found it a lot more fun because I'm much better at 2D action games. I also like the progression and the variety of playstyles. The graphics and music aren't anything too special, so it really relies on the gameplay. And it works, the game is super fun. So I'm gonna throw this at the top of B tier above Celeste. I wanted to switch it up and play a Metroidvania, so I picked up Dungeon Munchies. The concept of the game is really cool, and I thought the character designs and story was really creative as well. However, once you play the game, nothing else matters because the game just isn't fun. It controls like a wet noodle and the actions have no feeling to them. It makes the combat really bland and very unsatisfying. I stopped playing after 6 hours and regretted them all. Dungeon Munchies definitely goes at the bottom of D tier. I was still itching for Metroidvania, so I played Alice Escaped. I like the anime style and chibi characters as well as the overall aesthetics of the world, but that's about it. The combat got pretty dull after an hour and nothing was very deep at all. It's a short game, so it's padded with requiring multiple playthroughs, and sadly, it got worse every single time. I didn't think this was very fun at all, so this goes at the top of D tier. After playing 2 bad games, I chose Pizza Tower as my next one. I freaking love the art style of the game, the music works super well, and the characters are hilarious, and I actually love everything about this game. Except for the gameplay. I never played the Wario games, so I guess I just didn't get it. You kinda just run back and forth and jump into chaos. I'm definitely not the demographic for this game, so I'm throwing it into D tier above Alice Escaped. Now there was a lot of excitement after the release of Hi-Fi Rush, and I get why. I think this is one of the most solid games I've played in a very long time. For the price, you definitely get a lot for it. The story was pretty creative and the comedic theme was very Borderlands, which I loved. The music theme surrounding the game worked very well because you had to perform your actions on the beat. It prevented the game from being just another button masher. The stages were creative and every new boss you fought had a fun and unique mechanic to it. This is one of the most enjoyable games I've played in a while, so this one gets tossed up into the S tier. Not sure why I played Bastion, but I did. This game is short and sweet, nothing too complex, but still pretty satisfying. It was a few hours of fun and I never went back after my first clear. I'm just gonna put this in C tier. Chained Echoes is one of those games that I felt went under the radar a bit. This was an amazing JRPG. The pixel art is done very well, paying homage to the classics. Chained Echoes took everything great about the old JRPGs and removed everything you hated about them. The gearing system had a bit of depth to it, there were a ton of characters to play with, the customizable skills let you play the way you wanted to, and the overdrive bar added suspense to every battle. The story wasn't crazy, but it was definitely good enough. This is probably the best turn-based JRPGs I've played in quite a long time. This one easily goes to the top of S tier. Blasphemous was a game that was recommended to me, so I got it while it was on sale. I love Metroidvanias, but this one just didn't do it for me. I really liked the theme of the game and the pixel art was really nice as well, but what killed it for me was the combat. I don't like this style of clunky combat. It makes it harder to play and a lot more frustrating. So I'm gonna toss this into D tier as well, right above Pizza Tower. After that, I kind of wanted to play a chill game next, so I got Dredge. I love the Lovecraftian vibe of the game, the fishing concept was creative and overall pretty satisfying to play. I would definitely consider this a cozy game. Sadly though, because nothing new and exciting really happens throughout the game, the whole fishing thing gets pretty old after a few hours into it. The first playthrough was fun though, but not enough to make me want to catch every single fish. I'm gonna put Dredge in B tier right below Celeste. Then after that, I went back to the good old roguelikes and got Have a Nice Death. Comparing this to Dead Cells, since they're both 2D action roguelikes, I would say that Dead Cells is still a better game. However, there is a place for Have a Nice Death. I thought the game was much simpler and relaxing to play. The story and atmosphere of the game all work super well together, and this is overall a very solid game, so I'll put this one in B tier right below Dead Cells. Then of course, when you play one, you gotta have another, so I played Neon Echo, another 2D action roguelike. When I played it was still in early access, so there wasn't a ton of content in it. I'll give it a break on that, but that doesn't make up for the gameplay. It controls well and it's fun, but everything is very the same. The power-ups don't have much impact and it just got old pretty fast. Maybe it'll get better after launch, but from my experience, I'll have to put this at the top of C tier. This next one was very hyped at launch, and that was Cult of the Lamb. I didn't play it during launch, but I did play it this year. I thought the combat was basic, but still kind of fun. The colony building aspect was pretty amusing as well, but that only lasted so long, because after a bit, the combat was just the same old thing with nothing exciting being introduced. The colony building thing got old pretty fast and very quickly turned into an annoyance. I'll give them credit for trying because the overall vibe of the game is super awesome. I still finished it though, and I admit I still had fun doing it, but I'm gonna plop this one down at the bottom of B tier. Darkest Dungeon 2 was recommended to me because of all the roguelikes I've been playing, so I gave it a shot and I didn't really like it. I wasn't a fan of the combat and I thought the pacing was pretty bad. I didn't feel the game eased you into anything, it was just very overwhelming and it ended up turning me away from it. This has been the only game I have ever refunded, so it's definitely gonna go in D tier right above Dungeon Munchies. And after that disappointment, I dove into Cassette Beast since I heard good things about it. And well, they weren't wrong. I think it is easy to compare this game to Pokemon, and I think Cassette Beast was able to take things from it and make them better. Sure, the Pokemon designs are still better than the ones in Cassette Beast, but I think the combat here was leaps and bounds above Pokemon. Always fighting with 2 units on your side as well as the super complex elemental strengths and weaknesses, the combat was always really fun to play. The story was sweet and simple and the music tied everything together. If you're a fan of Pokemon, I definitely recommend you give this one a shot. I have no issues throwing this one at the top of A tier. So in a video I did a while ago, I ended up playing a few different roguelikes, with the first one being Gunfire Reborn. I've never played an FPS roguelike before, and so this one was definitely a lot of fun for me. I love the chibi furry characters, the funny weapons, and the aesthetics of the world. The combat isn't very complicated, and it's just plain old fun. This also has multiplayer, so you can do matchmaking or play with your friends if you still have any of those. Everything combined, this is one of my favorite roguelikes and can easily be placed in S tier above Hi-Fi Rush. The next game I had to play was Risk of Rain 2. I don't really like this game. I didn't find the gameplay to be very fun, the worlds look boring, and I didn't really enjoy the pacing. A lot of people hated me for saying this and said I needed to give it another shot. So I did. I played it some more, and sometimes I thought I was having fun, but I was wrong. Maybe I need to give it a third shot, but I don't know. I'm just gonna leave this here at the bottom of C tier. Then finally, the third game I had to play was The Binding of Isaac Rebirth. This was another game that people said I needed to give another shot, or to get the mods, to get the DLCs, to put 100 hours into it. There's no way I will ever play this game that much. I don't like how it plays and it feels very outdated to me. I will probably never play this game again, so easy D tier above Darkest Dungeon 2. I know, some of you guys are pretty upset right now, so feel free to dislike the video and leave a comment. Now, as if I didn't learn my lesson, the next game I played was Deadlink, another roguelike. But in FPS. It's hard to compare this one to Gunfire Reborn, because that game is friendly and fun, while Deadlink definitely is not. Deadlink is fun, but it's not friendly. The game is very fast-paced and action-packed, which was super sweet, but it honestly just wore out my brain. I probably had to think too hard and too fast, so after 12 hours of playing, I was over it. It's a good game, but I feel that it might just not be for me. However, I will still put this in B tier right below Have a Nice Death. So when I quit Deadlink, I wanted something super chill, so I got Wild Frost. This game is so fun. I like the design of the game, everything about it just works so well together. The gameplay is really good because it's so simple but yet complicated. It's super easy to understand, so you can quickly have a lot of fun playing it. I did stack a ton of hours into this game and it's become my favorite deck builder roguelike. I do have a complaint though, and that's the balance. I feel that success relies too much on your starting character and the tribes are pretty unbalanced. Either way, I still love the game, easy S rank above Gunfire Reborn. Now I had to take a break from roguelikes at this point, so I got Dave the Diver. I really enjoyed playing it. The diving was something new, the restaurant thing was fun, it was all great. But then the story wasn't very exciting and it kinda dragged on. Then the diving got a little old after a while because it wasn't balanced very well between the restaurant and the dive time. I wanted to do the restaurant thing more, but I had to keep diving. But either way, the game was still quite fun on the first playthrough, so I can probably put this at the bottom of A tier. After that, I played BlazBlue Entropy Effect. This is like a fighting game turned into a roguelike. I questioned if it would work, and it definitely does. I think the combat is super satisfying and the power-ups make it even better. There are tons of characters to use and they all play differently. The graphics are super nice because it's always good to see a roguelike that isn't pixel art. When I played this, it was in early access, so there were a few things locked away, but I'm pumped because the game does come out on January 31st, 2024. I'm definitely looking forward to playing this some more, so I'll toss this up to the top of A tier. And then we have Sea of Stars. This game was so hyped, so I expected a lot out of it. The graphics were really nice and the Mario RPG style triggers were a good touch, but that's about it. I didn't find anything else about the game to really stand out. The combat was decent, but comparing that to Chained Echoes that I played earlier this year, it's pretty far behind. The lock system was fun at first, but it quickly lost its charm, while the overdrive meter in Chained Echoes stayed fun and exciting throughout the entire game. The gearing system was super bare bones, and the extreme lack of skills really pissed me off. If I have to moonrang one more time, I'm gonna freaking blow my brains out. On top of that, the game was super easy and the puzzles were never challenging. I would definitely recommend Chained Echoes over Sea of Stars. So even though it did manage to win Game of the Year, somehow, I'm gonna put this one in B tier right below Dead Cells. So you never hear much about Inscryption, except for how good it is. And I understand why now. The game is really good and it's something you just don't talk about. This is A tier above Dave the Diver. If you really want to know why, then you just gotta play it. Now I was kinda pumped about deck builders after playing Inscryption, so the next one I got was Astrea 6-Sided Oracles. This is a twist on a deck builder because you use dice instead of cards. I had a lot of fun playing it, but after a while it does get a little old. Even though each character played differently, I felt that the power-ups offered on the dice just aren't as fun as cards. The effects were all different from one another, but they all still somehow felt the same. I liked how the combat system worked, but overall the game just wasn't as good as Inscryption or Wild Frost. I'm gonna throw this one in B tier, right below Gungeon. The art style of a game is always something that draws me in, and Laika Age Through Blood does not disappoint. I wanted to play this because I absolutely love the art style and the character designs. The idea of a Metroidvania where you're a doggo riding around on a dirt bike shooting birds is pretty out there, but it all worked. The bike controls take a little bit to get used to, but once you get it, it gets really satisfying to play because of the bullet time style combat, which I freaking loved. The story also won't let you down. I thought it was all well written and the delivery of it was great. I like the short snippets of conversation and lore rather than enduring 5 minutes of cutscenes or dialogue. Then lastly, the music ties everything together so well. This game is definitely one to experience, so I'll put this one in A tier right below Entropy Effect. And finally, the last game I played this year before making this video is HoloCure. So I started playing Nikke, and during the anniversary event there was a Bullet Heaven minigame. I played it and I got a bit addicted to it, so I wanted to play an actual Bullet Heaven game. And because I like VTubers more than vampires, I got HoloCure. The craziest thing about this game is that it's free, especially considering how much is packed into it. It's a super simple game, but the huge variety of characters and power-ups makes it very entertaining. There's also a pretty big progression system to keep you coming coming back for more. This game is cute, simple, and incredibly addicting. And that is why I'm putting HoloCure in A tier as well, right below Laika. So those were all the games I played in 2023, and I ranked them all. Feel free to let me know how you feel in the comments below. So if you enjoyed this, like and subscribe, and check out this other video on screen. I'm sure it's pretty freaking entertaining.